I think this is one of the very unique project from Tata.
Focus of the Tata Center is to create human resources which are involved in development of technological driven solutions.
Tata Center is a fantastic initiative because it works for a bottom of the pyramid group of people.
The Tata Center is an excellent platform for all kinds of collaborations, not only between us and the communities we are working with, but also amongst ourselves.
What we've tried to create with the Tata Center is a forum in which interdisciplinary and inter-institutional collaboration can happen with ease.
It enables innovation. It helps people who want to innovate see their ideas come to life.
Hello, I am Sanjay Mahajani. I am from Department of Chemical Engineering at IIT Bombay.
My name is Professor A.S. Khanna. I am in the Department of Metallurgical Engineering and Material Science.
My name is Alka Hingorani, and my background is in architecture, in design through photography and storytelling, and in history of art.
This is Upendra Bhandarkar, and I am a faculty at the Mechanical Engineering Department.
So my name is Narendra Shah. I am associated with Tata, which is Center for Technology Alternatives for Rural Areas of IIT Bombay.
Professor Jayanta Mukherjee from the Department of Electrical Engineering.
My name is Shoma Mukherjee and I work in the area of sensors and instrumentation systems for wide-scale deployment.
My name is Uday Atwankar. I'm an architect and an industrial designer.
I'm Neena Sabnani. My specialization is animation and illustration.
I'm Dhirendra Bahadur, Professor at the Department of Metallurgical Engineering and Material Science at IIT Bombay.
I'm Devjani Paul. I'm an Assistant Professor in Department of Biosciences and Bioengineering.
I'm Anand Rao. I'm Associate Professor at Tata, that is Center for Technology Alternatives for Rural Areas at IIT Bombay.
My name is Dipankar. I am with the Electrical Engineering Department at IIT Bombay.
My name is Santosh Narona. I'm in the Department of Chemical Engineering.
My name is Vivek Agarwal and my area of specialization is power electronics.
My name is Jayesh Belare. I'm a professor of chemical engineering at IIT Bombay, and my specialization and interests are in the area of nanostructured materials for biomedical engineering and biomedical devices.
I'm working on Gasifier based cook stove, which is something that people have tried before, but not to that extent at a slightly large scale. Like people have tried Gasifier based cook stove at a domestic level for cooking and all, but what we want to do is like it should be done on a larger scale where we can use it for, say, example, restaurants, mess, hostels and so on, where we have to run the gasifier at a stretch for about 5-6 hours and so on. So design of a gasifier is a big challenge. In rural areas, where at a village level, where people use traditional chulhas for cooking purpose, even at a larger scale. So we want to replace this traditional chulhas with the gasifier. So the estimate is that like if you replace LPG by biomass based gasifier, the cost would come down to almost 50%. So at the end of the day, we would like to have a cost effective, compact, clean gasifier which is environment friendly. At the same time, it should handle, which is very important, it should handle variability in the feedstock. So as I said, like today I can use wood, tomorrow it can be a garden waste, the other day it can be agro waste and so on. So the design should be robust enough to replace the existing LPG system, especially in the urban areas, and traditional chulhas in the rural areas, partially or fully.
The project that we are going to be working on has to do with bone. It has to do with making low-cost bone graft materials on which we have been working for several years. The current focus is on being able to get specific shapes and sizes which can be made at a low cost, particularly for those sort of bone losses which are responsible for cranio and maxillofacial surgeries, like shown in this model in front of me. It shows that there are many defects associated with the jaw, particularly arising from teeth, and this results in a lot of morbidity and mortality associated with all strata of society, particularly with the lower ones who cannot afford to find a suitable medical solution to the problem. Currently, when there is a dental cyst or abscess, it results in a large bone loss. The materials that we are working on, such as these foams and these low-cost, soft, gelatin-based materials in which there is ceramic incorporated into it, allows us to provide materials which can be used for this sort of application. We expect that we expect our work to be impacting all strata of society, but particularly those who can ill afford it, because these are low-cost materials based on common gelatin and hydroxyapatite, which is a form of calcium phosphate, and we think this will have a great impact at the base of the pyramid as well as across all strata.
The project that I'm floating through the Tata Center involves trying to build a diagnostic device for early detection of osteoporosis. This device is necessary because currently people depend on measurements of bone density to identify if they've got bone loss, and it turns out that if you measure the levels of proteins which mark for the formation and desorption of bone, you can get rapid estimates of bone desorption in particular, and this serves as a much more rapid indication of onset of osteoporosis. So therefore there is need for a blood drop based estimation of the levels of multiple proteins, all multiplexed onto a single chip, wherein a lab on a chip design is ultimately implemented for low cost detection of osteoporosis. So what we intend to do is to build a strip of either paper or silica on which antibodies against these multiple proteins are immobilized, and we get to then estimate the levels of such proteins in samples of blood, and it is then intended to measure these protein levels using using either image analysis or using spectrophotometry towards estimating the levels of these proteins. So effectively what will have to be done is we will have to build a microfluidic solution wherein the reaction actually occurs, a strip of paper or silica. We will have to build a reader which can detect and estimate these levels of proteins. And finally, we will deploy these devices with the collaborators who have rural healthcare programs, who will then test for presence of osteoporosis in a large section of a rural population, and they will ultimately comment on the efficacy of our designs.
And this Tata project is basically a very important project in which we are trying to find out how to create coatings which can bring down the temperatures inside the houses, inside the rooms, lower than what is there outside. This project is directly connected with the energy conservation, where we will use these coatings to apply inside the roofs or inside the walls, so that the outside temperature is reduced to a greater extent, and this will help in reducing the air conditioning cost and in general the electricity bill. To make a very simple demonstration of this thing, you can consider this as the roof, and this is the outside part of the roof from which the sunlight is coming from an infrared lamp like this, and this temperature is indicated in this thing which shows that outside temperature is around 57 degrees centigrade. And now we want to measure what is the temperature at the inside of the room, which is at the back of this thing. So there is another thermocouple which is measuring the temperature at the back, and you can see the temperature at the back is 33 degree. So there is almost a temperature loss of around 24 degrees centigrade, and which shows that this coating is really working onto that. Now the main project is not on white coating like this, where lots of solutions are available. The main purpose is to apply this kind of a principle on colored coatings, dark coatings, and each dark coating has a different kind of requirement. So in order to achieve that work, we have to modify these coatings by adding various kinds of anti-reflecting pigments which work for particular colors and don't work for other colors. So this whole project is basically to look for this kind of anti-reflecting pigments and their optimization to be added into the paint system, and then carrying out these various kinds of tests to measure the change in temperature.
My main research interests are in the nanostructured materials for healthcare applications. As far as this project is concerned, this deals with the functional nanohybrids for translational research in cancer therapy, particularly the ovarian and breast cancer. For this project, we are going to make magnetic nanohybrids for combination therapy, which will involve hypothermia and chemotherapy. Hypothermia is a magnetic hypothermia, and it has been found by us in vitro experiments that if you combine these two therapies, the synergistic effect of these two therapies are much better than an individual therapy. We have done enough experiments in vitro, and now we have to do detailed animal experiments. Our initial animal experiments were very, very encouraging, and now we look forward to a very detailed animal experiments on a small nude or skid mice, and that we'll do in collaboration with ACTREC at Mumbai, because they have all the facilities of the animal experiments. And if that is successful, then of course in due course of time we tend to go to larger animals, and even that is successful, then we can go to human trials and clinical trials. And I feel that this kind of therapy is very non-invasive, and I think it will be a great help to the cancer patients if it is successful.
This project that is being taken up with the Tata Center is for deshelling of the marking nut, which in the local language is called bibba. The marking nut is a close relative of the cashew family, and the problem with this deshelling is that rural women take up the deshelling project, and when deshelling, the oil that spills out of the nut causes blisters to the skin. So what the women do is they sit behind a mud-made partition, and they wrap their hands with cloth, and then they deshell this thing, their nut, with their two hands. So as a result, the production rate is reasonably low, as well as their hands get blisters, and even when they cover their hands, it's a slow process. So the whole idea of this project is to create a mechanism or a device which will increase the productivity as well as save the women from these blisters, because the moment they get blisters, they are out of action for a few days till they are healed, and as a result their income reduces. So the idea is to come up with a mechanism which will do both.
I have been working with IDC since 1970. My topics of interest are: one, how architects think and visualize. My second interest has been in the area of product semantics, which is again from a cognitive science point of view. And the third area that I'm currently working on and mostly spending all my research time on it is affordable housing. The project that I'm working on as far as the Tata Center is concerned is about, it's titled as fitting more in the volume. The idea here is, in affordable housing, the current approach is to look at middle class apartment and reduce it in size and somehow make it affordable. Now that's not exactly what is culturally required for the kind of income group that occupies them. The second problem is they also reduce the quality so that it becomes a little more affordable. We want to challenge the notion by saying that let's not reduce the quality, let's also keep the quality of living as desired by the dwellers who are going to occupy that, but try and use the space more effectively by creating components and systems where they can build the interior themselves and use the entire volume effectively. Our major approach is the current phase of the project is more design oriented. We already been we spent almost about 4 years trying to research in this area. So it's a time that we convert that research into some design ideas. So if you want to sum up this, what we're trying to do is to see that the quality of living is not compromised, the quality of construction is not compromised, but at the same time give them what is possible within a short space. So this is the project all about. And there are 3 students working on it, and we hope to have at least the first phase completed by this November.
The project is concerning craft development actually, and we are working with Bhil artists to create more awareness of their art. It's the largest tribal community in the country, and we want to enhance their earnings by creating media artifacts, that is making films and illustrated books, as well as a web presence to enhance the reach of their art. I've been very interested in intangible heritage. My area has been storytelling, focus. So I feel stories are connected with the images, which are lost when the images are sold as in craft bazaars, which is what these people do at the moment. So their reach is very small. The stories are getting lost. So by using technology driven media like animation, we can actually enhance that reach and in a way retain the intangible heritage.
I did a lot of my history of art research in Himachal Pradesh, in small villages up at 8,000 and 9,000 feet above sea level, villages connected by kinship relationships. Spent a lot of time there and got to know some schools in the area as well, schools that cater to 18, 20, sometimes 30 villages, which have populations of 85 to 300 people each. And last year when I was there, I met one of the teachers who spoke of how in a place that has no televisions or newspapers, the government was now going to provide computers to their schools. He wanted that to open up a new kind of world for his kids, to be able to learn and teach through the World Wide Web. But English is the big stumbling block. It's an area in which Pahadi, which is a local dialect of Hindi, is largely spoken. Everyone speaks standard Hindi as well, but there is no context or exposure to English at all. So because he asked for it, and from that sort of a conversation, we thought we'd try and figure out a way to devise games, tools using mobile phones which exist over there, technology platforms, but also just peer-to-peer learning through interaction for language learning. And that's what this project is about. It's a way to figure out how those kids learn whatever else they learn, to use their myths and stories that they're familiar with in Hindi to teach them English.
Project that we are working on as part of the Tata Center involves designing a very low power transceiver. The main impediment of the present day cell phones is that they don't support a very long battery life. So by making a transceiver which consumes very less power, we can prolong the life or the period of time that we can use a cell phone. So this project arose from a previous project which we had done for the Departments of Science and Technology. And as part of that project, we had to design just the chip of the transceiver. So we did do that design. We fabricated it in a foreign foundry. We also tested it, and it was consuming just around 12 milliwatts of power. So as part of this project, we want to extend the previous work that we had done and make the complete product. Basically develop the entire PCB board, the electronics, the packaging, the labeling, so that it can be actually marketed. As we all know, there is a huge demand for cell phones which work for a long time with a standard battery. By having a cell phone that consumes very less power, we can achieve a very long battery life of a cell phone. And if we can make the power consumption to be very less, then we can even maybe have a solar powered cell phone. So that is the long-term goal.
In this project that we will be executing for the Tata Center, we will be working on the design and development of a low-cost, rugged solar PV microinverter. Now there are various factors which actually led to this project proposal, and the main is that, as you know, that India is actually undergoing, as the rest of the world, a serious energy crisis, and we are looking for alternatives. Of course, the other issues are environmental pollution caused by the conventional fuel, for which we are trying to look for renewable energy alternatives. Now these microinverters, these are basically low power 300 to 400 watt microinverters, which can be used to feed power into the grid, or they can be used for standalone loads. So they are very ideal for residential home applications, for small industry applications, and rural applications. Now once this project is over, I believe that this will actually provide a very nice alternative. It's a plug and play type of unit which is very easily scalable in terms of power. It is also modular, so we can add more microinverters as we need or as our power requirement goes up. And also the maintenance cost is low because these are small systems compared to the large PV plants that we are trying to put in the country. So eventually I believe that these microinverters are the future of the country, and eventually all the large PV plants would actually be replaced by many of these small microinverters.
The project that we have chosen for the prestigious Tata Center initiative is actually a very important one, addresses a important need worldwide. It is on how do you make ice without having large energy impact. Cost should be low enough that you can have the bottom of the economic pyramid addressed. So just to describe you, this ice maker conceptually is a device which is not bigger than a big casserole, so to say, and this will be making about let's say about 2 to 3 kilograms of ice overnight in favorable conditions, which I can explain a little bit later. And this you do without using any active energy input. And the device itself, we estimate that when mass produced, which we would genuinely like to do, should not cost more than, let's say, 200 to 300 rupees, 2014 rupees. The idea for this ice maker is not new. It has been there for many years around the world. In India particularly, well documented. It has been there like during the Nawabs and the Badshahs period, let's say 300, 400, 500 years back. They used to enjoy ice deserts like Kulfi and others in the middle of the country. So it was very clear to them how to make ice. And it is well documented. Dharampal's book, for example, was the first, my introduction to knowing what ice making, that ice making in this form used to happen in India. What we are doing is essentially putting good design in the engineering sense, in the product sense, to make something which is relevant, which is economical, and which can have a mass impact.
The project that we have floated along with Professor Shirish Kedare from Energy Science and Engineering, the project involves around the concept of portable water purifiers. So having a safe drinking water is a very essential need of human beings, and lots of rural areas are not having safe drinking water today, especially in the calamity affected areas where flood prone areas where water may be available. It is accessible, but it is not potable quality. So we are targeting these areas especially to find out whether it is possible to have a purification system which does not require conventional energy sources like electricity, and whether water can be delivered at the doorstep of the consumers. So the idea, one prototype that we have already built through a MTech project is a pedal power based water purifier which can be mounted on a bicycle, so that it can be taken from door to door. It is also possible to provide a livelihood opportunity for somebody who can take it as a service to different households. So that is an additional advantage of this, and we are exploring what are the different avenues to or different designs that can be implemented. And the main part of this project would be field testing. We want to take these units to field and try out what is the feedback from the community and incorporate that so as to improvise this design. So that is the whole idea of this project.
You know, almost it's quite well known that while India is a economy in transition, there is this problem of undernutrition and malnutrition which is quite prevalent in the country. So with this idea in mind, about 3.5 years back, we started a project at IIT Bombay in collaboration with one of the municipal hospitals in Mumbai called Sion Hospital. So in addition to IIT Bombay, Sion Hospital, and then we had one more NGO from Minneapolis, USA, called Toddler Food Partners, and we say that this is typically a product-based intervention. So in order to address malnutrition, while on one hand you need product-based strategy to sort of take care of children below 6 years who are severe and acute malnourished. So we actually designed a formulation which actually meets the norms which are followed world over, and we made this energy dense and protein rich formulation which was fed to the children in patients admitted in the Sion Hospital in the pediatrics department, and this is typically what is called as a peanut butter based formulation, and the results that we have achieved through these clinical trials are quite encouraging, and we feel that it's not only issue of severe and acute malnourished or moderately acute malnourished, but we have a much wider issue. So the objective of this project is to arrive at food formulations which is not only sort of energy rich in vitamins and minerals, but also which is economically affordable to the target population.
My name is Hemen Kumar Kalita. I am a PhD student working under the supervision of Professor Mohammad Aslam of the Nanomaterials Group of the Department of Physics, IIT Bombay. So water pollution has been one of the major threats for mankind from decades, and we all know that about 1 billion people in this world live without a proper drinking water. And obviously in this fast and developing world, the rise of manufacturing and textile industries has led to the contamination of water by huge extent. So these dyes, pigments and potentially toxic elements, we need to remove it from water. So obviously the contamination of water is one of the major issues from the environmental point of view. Our research group here in IIT Bombay is looking into various new materials which can help us to get more affordable clean water. So for this purpose, our project is based on purification of wastewater by using graphene based filter membranes. So what graphene is? Graphene is a very exciting new material. It is a 1 atom thick layer of carbon arranged in a honeycomb lattice structure, and we hope that this new material will help us in getting contamination free water in huge scale.
Hi, my name is Dr. Mayur Sadavna, and I am working with Anurag Meena, a student of engineering physics. We are students of Professor Rohit Srivastava, who specializes in bio-nanotechnology. This project, non-invasive delivery of non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs for arthritis pain management, envisions to deliver the pain management drugs using sonoporation at the site of pain directly. This delivery is a predetermined requirement of a patient concern. From diagnostic to therapeutics, our lab actually works on life experiences based on the medical field requirement, and this case is no different. We have always seen our elders suffer from the pain of arthritis along with the side effects of the oral treatment by the drugs that they are prescribed. Giving the drugs through the transdermal route will not only be more effective but also will have fewer side effects, and that's what actually we want to deliver through the product. The project has two components in it. One is the drug delivery patch, which is basically will be developed by the biomedical experts in the lab, and the instrumentation part, which an instrumentation developer like Anurag would be able to prototype for us. That's all.
I work in the devices of lab on a chip and biosensors, primarily for healthcare applications. And my Tata Center project involves developing a low-cost and portable device for blood cell analysis. So the reason we got interested in this project was because a lot of diseases can be detected looking at the blood cell count and various proteins, etc. And people normally, to even analyze or to separate blood cells, people use very expensive machines like FACS, which is the fluorescence activated cell sorter, etc. And these kind of machines are not available with the common man, I mean not in the villages. You have to go to equipped hospitals to use these machines and do those tests. So what we are trying to build is an alternative to that FACS system you have. So the technology we are using is called microfluidics. So microfluidics essentially uses very small chips like this, where fluid flows through very tiny channels. So what we'll have is a microfluidic chip, and along with that we will build a detection system. There are two ways we are going to approach this problem. In one, we are going to use something like this mobile phone and the circuitry that comes with it, and in the other approach we are going to use an electrical detection system and see which one gives us better results. And we hope that maybe in about a couple of years, when this project is over, this can be field tested, and it will benefit a lot of people who are in the rural areas who do not have access to such healthcare facilities.
The project that I'm working on is on detection of neonatal jaundice using a mobile phone based hardware and software application. About 60% of the children who are born suffer from neonatal jaundice. Fortunately, 50%, that means about almost 90% of them, they do not require any treatment, but at the end of it, 10% of the children who are born, they require treatment for neonatal jaundice. Now, the treatment has to be monitored. How much is the jaundice? When the treatment is going on, how is the treatment progressing? How is the child recovering? Most of the times, the doctors do a blood test. That means they prick that itsy bitsy baby, maybe 2-3 times a day, typically in the heel, and take some blood and test for bilirubin in it, which of course is not a very happy thing for the children's parents to see or the child to feel. Rest of the days, very frequently experienced doctors, they look at the baby and then they figure out how much jaundiced it is. That means how much yellow its skin is looking like. Now, of course, there is a rule for that. There is something called a Kramer's rule. Jaundice essentially gets expressed first face and then down towards the lower parts of the body. So people will look at yellowing and the various parts and estimate how much the jaundice is and plan the treatment accordingly. Unfortunately, this is a observer based test, so it depends on the experience of the person. There is a lack of standardization. Now everyone carries a mobile phone around. Every doctor will have at least a reasonable phone with a good camera in it. Now, can we possibly make a system by which the baby's skin at various points of the body can be imaged and the amount of yellowing determined from that? That is essentially what we are trying to do in this project. For the past 17 years, I have been working in IIT Bombay, and about 14 years I have been working in the area of wide-scale deployment of sensors and instrumentation. I have been doing science. I have been doing a little technology. The Tata Center brings us a way to take the science and technology forward and cross the last mile into society. It is an exciting project. It is a exciting thing that has happened in IIT Bombay, by which faculty are enabled to take the science and technology that they have developed forward into something that which actually benefits the people around us.
This is an exciting time, and we look forward to this interaction with TctD.